suppose there is a little bit of rivalry, maybe less so in the last few years, because we have kind of established that Doireann is in the full forward line and I'm in the half forward line, but there was a few years there where
I could run.
Yeah, well, you could run and I could score. So yeah, it was interchangeable, and at that time we were kind of competing against each other for positions. Like all through the years there was always massive competition in all positions, so you'd try to get on wherever you could. And there was one year I think we had an All-Ireland and I had 14 on me and you'd 11, which kind of seems strange now, but it's kind of a bit better now, I think, where we can help each other a bit more and we're not directly competing against each other. We had Éamon for so many years that it was always like Éamon never roared at you, and it was a case of not wanting to disappoint him and let him down. And when Aoife came then, it was a case of wanting to impress him, because Aoife knew nothing about ladies football when he came.
Yeah, I think everyone had a clean slate. What you've done underage or how many All-Irelands you won went out the window when Aoife came. As Ciara said, we did have to just start from scratch and impress someone new, which was exciting. I think definitely brought a freshness in 2016.
Yeah. I think, like, to be fair, I think when they took over they were coming on the back of 5 in a row, so I don't think you come in and try to make a load of changes to a team that had been generally quite successful. So it was really about trying to continue what was there and build on it a little bit.
Yeah, what's that phrase? Don't...
If it's not broken, don't fix it.
Yeah, I think they applied that.
Yeah.
It was embedded in you, whether it was a challenge game, an AVB game. We played a lot of games against under 15, 16 and minor boys teams as well, and you always wanted to win. Girls were really, really annoyed if you weren't on the winning team, even at a training game, backs and forwards. You'd come off the pitch like a dog if you had lost. So I think that winning mentality was definitely embedded in us.
And there was crazy competition for places.
Remember the AVB matches as well?
Yeah.
Used to be really, really, really competitive.
Yeah, and it was kind of good in that you kind of wouldn't be able to tell who was the A or B team, you know. It wasn't like one team ran away with it, such was the competition, and I think that's what made us successful for a good few years, was that competition. There was massive rivalry, is massive rivalry between us and Dublin, and I think for a lot of us that even stemmed from underage, like playing all the way up All-Ireland finals under 14, 16 minor. And I don't think it lost any bit of that bite when it came to senior. I think we'd beaten them 2014 and 15 by a point and 2 points, I think, something like that. And then even before that in semi-finals, we were just about getting over the line. So there was never anything between us. And I think there was massive respect between the two of us as well. You know, both of us knew how hard we worked and that we were two good teams, and that it could go either way. And thankfully, up as far as 2016, we had gotten the look of the break.
They were chasing us and getting closer and closer every year. As Ciara said, they work really, really hard, and we had massive and do have massive respect for them as footballers and as girls as well. We get on with them, I suppose, well off the pitch as well.
I think it did drive us on. Like, you know that it's only going to last for a certain period of time, and you want to try and get the most out of it while you're there. And we knew they were gaining all the time, and everyone was special. And I think 2016 has become even more special in the last 2 years because we haven't been back there since.
I do think that was a huge motivating factor for us, and made us train that bit harder, made us mind ourselves more off the field, knowing how close Dublin were. If we were 5-6 points ahead of them in most games, I do think we probably would have taken the foot off the pedal a small bit.
I think if you look at the scoreline at half-time in the day, it was 4-3, so I'd like to think the weather had a big impact on that anyway as a forward, so that we only scored 3 points in the first half. We were down a point at half-time, but it was very unusual because we'd been very lucky up until then playing in Croke Park. It always been like a lovely crisp day in September, and this was bucketing rain from the start. You know, to come in and to be thereabouts, I think we were happy enough with that, especially given the conditions. Like, we knew it wasn't going to be a shootout or anything like that, so we were happy enough, kept it tight. And I suppose if you look back in previous years where we had went to 2014 and you're 10 points down at one point, I think we were happy enough to go in a point down. Rona, I suppose, is probably one of Cork's most famous forwards for what she's done over the years. In 2014, getting one of the goals to bring us back into it, and again in 2016. Like, if you want somebody in front of goal taking a shot, I think I'd put Rona probably number one. And she always makes great runs, so finding her is quite easy. And I suppose when you're not a shooter like me, you're always looking to get rid of it anyway. So yeah, she struck it brilliantly, and I think that drove us on. That disputed point, the Carla Rowe point, is one of obviously the major talking points of that 2016 final. And I remember as captain that year, I went into the press room after, and I was sitting down being interviewed, and somebody said, "And what about the disputed point?" And I was looking, I hadn't had a clue, because obviously if you're watching it on telly and they're replaying it and saying that was over, everyone's aware of it. But as a player on the field, we thought nothing of it. It was waved wide and on we went. But I think it is really, really unfortunate, and obviously it's wrong. Like, if it's a point, it's a point, and it should have stood. And it's really unfortunate that it's something that is spoken about with regard to the 2016 final, when it was such a good final outside of that. As I say, overall it's really unfortunate that happened in an All-Ireland final of all days.
We meet every year in December or January and set out our goals for the year, and your goal is to get back to Croke Park and on our All-Ireland final day, whether it's your first time or whether it's you're going for 5 or 6 in a row. We were just delighted to be back there.
Yeah, and I think it is a massive cliche. You know, every player always says, "Oh, we're not thinking about 3 in a row, 4 in a row," whatever it is. But when you're in the middle of it, that genuinely is true. Like, you are trying to get your place on the panel, trying to get your place on the team. You don't care if it's 1 in a row or a million in a row. Like, it's so irrelevant at the time. Looking back on it now, a few years later, it is pretty cool to have done 6 in a row and to be level with Kerry on the overall Roll of Honour. But at the time, it's definitely not something you think about. It's funny, like, when you lift a cup, you're obviously lifting it on behalf of the county team, but I think, I don't know, it always feels really special for the club, because in Cork, the way it's done anyway, I was captain because we'd won the county and the club had nominated me. I think it's just such a great honour for your club, for your family, and obviously to be doing it on behalf of the whole team.
Whether it was school or sport, me, Maeve, Roisin and Ciara, there was huge competition between the 4 of us, even to be Mam's favourite or to be Dad's favourite. No matter what we do, we want to be the best. I think there was more competition between me and Maeve because we're closer in age, and then Roisin and Ciara because there's only a year or so between them. Yeah. So I think growing up in terms of football, I actually looked up to Roisin and Ciara a lot, and just me and Maeve used to go to all their games, and they broke into the senior panel obviously before me and Maeve, so that was huge motivation for me to be like them. I was, I suppose, jealous of them going to training and getting to play with Juliet Murphy and Valerie Mulcahy and all these cool people. So definitely huge competition within the family. Sauce it?
Doireann, I'm not simple, Doireann.